I told her I would die for her, but do you think she knows I like her? Howdy hole, and welcome back to Whole Chat, and more importantly, welcome to Run Maid Run Part 2. If you are here and you haven't listened to Part 1, you probably shouldn't be here. Like, listen to that first and then come follow up here. Don't confuse yourself, I guess. Important notes from last time. There's maids. They are dead and or dying. And they have been dead or dying multiple times. Look at a time loop. For a while, probably. Everything's terrible, Dante's Inferno is too relevant, and lesbianism seems to be the only fix. That's pretty much where we were before. This episode is picking right up from where we left off last time. So we're discussing the characters first and then moving on from there. Typical Whole Chat layout, nothing too weird. That's what's going to be happening. So, again, if you haven't listened to part 1, listen to it now, and then you can continue with this part like nothing ever happened. And as always, thanks for listening, and enjoy part 2 of Run Maid Run. So, Cheryl Watson is our main character. She's young and quite spirited, as I said before, very 0 to 60. While she's polite and pretty well educated due to her special relationship with her masters, she's never one to turn away from a fight. If an injustice has been committed, she's going to do something about it. She searches for truth, even when it may be detrimental to herself, but it's all a part of her self-righteous nature. So there are definitely mysteries in this that she is actively trying to figure out the answer to. Mm-hmm. It is very white woman energy of like, I gotta figure it out. Oh, it's dangerous kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That is very much who she is. For as spicy and cheerful as she seems, she's quite quick-witted and has emotional depth. She feels a strong connection to Moriam, despite having never seen her before, and wants to help her in any way that she can. She is also very earnestly gay.
Cheryl is?
Mm-hmm.
When do we figure that out?
We find that out probably right smack dab in the middle of the comic.
Okay. So Cheryl is one of the gay ones.
Mm-hmm. And she is trying to help Moriam no matter what. Even when she's angry with her, she's still trying to help her. I know at the beginning of the comic.
So that's the other gay girl? The other gay love.
Mm-hmm. So then, like, at the beginning of the comic, Smith asks Cheryl to do something, and Cheryl's, like, trying to do it. She's like, well, I want to help fix their relationship kind of thing. And it's like, you should stay out of this, truthfully. Mm-hmm. But I get why. She just feels drawn to fixing the situation for Moriam.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have Moriam Smith, the female lead. She is full of piss and vinegar. She's the parlor maid and the daughter of the housekeeper, but seems to want to fight her mom in the octagon. And by the way, parlor maid is similar to like a butler, but it's like when you don't have a ton of maids or when you have a woman kind of in the place of a butler, that's the parlor maid. So she handles a lot of front of the house stuff, sees guests, serves tea, that sort of thing. So her responsibilities are different. But
right.
She seems both suspicious and desperate for most of the comic, but really she's just deeply in love and trying to stop the horrors. She's a good parlor maid, and was probably once a dedicated and steadfast worker, but shit's gone crazy now. She has a complicated relationship with the owners of the house also, so things are great for her. She is driven by one thing and one thing only, Cheryl's safety. She would bend the time-space continuum to be gay. Then we have Bonita, one of the remaining maids of the household. She's super sweet and good-natured. She's incapable of lying to others or being sneaky. And her death hits hard because she really is a good person and a great friend.
Yeah.
Because I was also upset.
It also kind of sucks because if this is a time loop, then we don't know how long they've been stuck in a time loop. So, like, Bonita's, like, family, her boyfriend, they could all be dead by now. We don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, but we don't know.
Again, the horrors.
The horrors.
The horrors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alice Baker is our other maid. She's sneaky and catty and seems to be rude to people until she's warmed up to them. She doesn't really care for people, but she's the most shaken up after Bonita's death. She's never really nice to Cheryl, but it's probably because of gay jealousy.
Because she's probably gay love with Maureen.
Yeah, well, we never get the confirmation of yes or no, but she's way too into Moriam.
Mm-hmm.
And she seems to want a special relationship with her. And her bullying towards Cheryl keeps getting worse the closer she gets to Moriam, too.
Yeah,
so,
see,
but no, like, she just seems way too into Moriam the entire time. We never get a confirmation, but she, like, blushes sometimes about things. She just seems very deeply betrayed when Moriam chooses, like, Cheryl over her.
Yeah, she's probably got the gay crush.
Yeah.
I mean, she looks like a cunty lesbian. Like, let's be real.
She does. She really
does. She looks like softball lesbian, you know?
Yeah, like blonde hair, cat eye kind of situation. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shows up with a high ponytail and smacking bubble gum.
Yeah, she has that vibe. But for as difficult as she is, even she doesn't deserve what she's going through.
No, being killed over and over again, that sucks.
Mm-hmm. So then we have Smith. She is a lady's maid turned housekeeper, and Moriam's mother. She's also the love of Liza's life and vice versa.
Who's Liza?
Liza is the lady of the house.
The one we never see?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we never see them because they dicking down.
To be fair, Liza...
The governor's away. Kiss me.
To be fair, Liza is sick. She really is
so
sick.
She can't dick down.
Yes, but she is the love of Liza's life. She's worked hard all of her life and is working just as hard now, though in a fucked up way this time.
Uh-huh.
She's skilled and cunning and is playing 4D chess for the whole comic. She really is quite maternal and has a soft spot for all the maids, and especially for Cheryl. She also loves her daughter as much as she loves Liza, but things have gotten really complicated at this point.
You don't love your daughter. Like, no, hear me out. If you put your child through hell, because it sounds like... Because now, I think, this maid mama, Miss Smith, I'm now thinking Miss Smith is doing these killings. I don't know why, but it's somehow happening to keep the sick governess alive.
To keep Liza alive.
Yeah, to keep Liza alive. So now that's happening. And I'm sorry, keeping everyone trapped in a time loop or whatever to keep someone alive, you don't love someone the same way if you're doing that to someone. That's horrifying.
It is incredibly horrifying. It is also more complicated than that. Because I find pretty much everyone in this comic sympathetic except for one person.
Okay.
By the time you finish, you're like, everyone's at least a little bit sympathetic except for one person.
Well, guess what? I don't know the answer.
You don't know yet, yeah.
So I can think she's a cunt.
Yes, and I do have in the script that, like, Smith made a deal with the devil, and now shit's fucked forever.
Alright. I hate that. I hate that you said that one phrase, and now I feel a little bad for her. Because I know the devil tricks you, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Wait, okay. So, then we have Governor Taylor, a man, and honestly the main reason why things suck so bad.
Okay.
He loves Liza enough to do terrible things, but he's also weak, temperamental, and impulsive. His relationship with Smith is complicated and has ranged from rivals to confidants to conspirators.
To lovers?
No.
Okay, because I want to know what that hug was about.
That was more about being confidants.
Okay.
Yes.
That was more about, I have to kill a maid with a lamp and push her down the stairs, cuddle me.
That's much closer, yeah.
Yeah, because, like, I don't know who killed my Bonita, but they suck.
Yeah, you're right. He has the capability to do good and has done right by Smith in the past, but he still should have been pushed into the sea.
Man. You probably started this whole time loop shit.
I'm just thinking you're getting close. So we have Liza, the lady of the manor, who we don't see until, like, because there's like 80 chapters to this, I think. Mm-hmm. We don't see her till like chapter 70 or so, 60 or 70 or something like that. We don't see her for a long time. We see vague flashbacks of her from like the neck down. We don't see her face for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a possibly long time. She's sickly and seemingly on the edge of death for the whole comic. She hasn't been seen by anyone other than Smith and the governor for a long time. She has a proclivity for the occult and was rumored to be a witch when she was in her prime. So that's also a rumor that Cheryl ended up hearing is like, well, we heard the Lady of the Manor is a witch, and Cheryl's like, That's rude to say about people. And to be fair, in this time period, it was.
I don't like Cheryl. I'm going to push her head under the water until the bubbles stop. So I'm going to help the time loop persist.
To be fair, people were called witches all the time.
I know. But god damn it. When there are warning signs hit me in the face, like an impatient cock to the mouth, fucking like, wake up. Sometimes I just do that to make you laugh.
Fuck off. Huck.
I like making you laugh. You're really cute.
Liza by no means is a bad person, just socially controversial and unfortunate. She's also in love with Smith.
Mm-hmm. Lesbians ruin everything.
Like, we don't...
They start a time loop.
Okay, one of my favorite things is we get to the point where Liza is actually, like, awake and speaking to people, and her... Oh, yeah, this is not, like, a huge spoiler, but, like, her husband comes over to her and was like, oh, my wife is awake, and he wants to hold her, and she turns to Smith and goes, darling.
Jesus
Christ. So she calls him by name, and she calls Smith darling.
She's like, oh, Richard, it's you. Oh, Smith, darling.
She calls Smith honey and darling. She has, like, romantic pet names for her.
Oh,
in front of her fucking husband.
Oh, God.
She's shameless. I love her.
Oh, God.
I'm so mad we don't get more of her, because she's fantastic.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I'm also going to very quickly cover, like, there's Lady Edith, who I'm mentioning because she becomes really important in the end game to, like, wrap up the story.
Okay.
But she's Cheryl's old mistress and the daughter of Lady Dawson. She and Cheryl were more or less raised together and have always been close. She taught Cheryl how to read and other aspects of polite society. And she also encouraged Cheryl to leave the manor to go out to the country and find her parents. She's a real one and is very helpful to Cheryl's development and some other things that happen later, for sure. Mm-hmm. And then Lady Dawson was, of course, her mother. And she's deceased in majority of the story, though she's seen a lot through flashbacks that Cheryl's having. Mm-hmm. She's the closest thing that Cheryl had to a mother. And so we get a lot about her as well, just kind of in the past tense. Mm. So that's who we're generally working with in here. You can already tell, I've just told you a little bit, that this comic is a hell of a ride.
Yeah, that's a bonkers city.
Yeah, it is, of course, a horror comic, since motherfuckers keep dying left and right. But the psychological horror is the real star of the show, because if you understand people are dying, there's a time loop, that's terrifying. The psychological torture that is to constantly be dying or see people dying, that's gotta be misery. That's gotta basically be hell on earth.
It's hell on earth, yeah.
Which ties right into the Dante stuff.
Yeah, they are walking through the layers of hell.
Uh-huh. The sheer amount of time that the characters spend locked into the specific version of hell is a really horrifying part. The author, of course, like, references Dante's Inferno, and it was an insanely good choice. It adds the unsettling vibe and also just describes what's going on in the comic. Each stanza utilized both informs and forewarns, and I'm really damn impressed. Like, it's a beautiful use of metaphor. Because there are whole chapters, like, she would end a chapter with a stanza from Dante's Inferno, and then I would think, oh, I know what the fuck's gonna happen in the next one. Mm-hmm. What I will also say, I read through this twice, and I was looking at the comments on one side about it, and it was really beautiful to see a bunch of people realizing in real time that Dante's Inferno is a fanfic about the Bible. And people had never read it and didn't know, and so they were like, there's a part where he compliments himself as the author and says how good his writing's going to be. This is basically an author's note at the start of a fanfic, and I was like, yes, you got it. You figured it out. So, shout out to the comic for also getting people to know about Dante's Inferno and what it actually is. Yeah. I think that was great. Beyond all the Dante connections, the metaphors don't really stop. One of the things that rocked me was the metaphor to the evolution of lesbianism in society. Because this comic addresses the change from, like, women loving women in secret, with caveats, to women loving each other very openly. So, like, that kind of, how history has gone from, like, you kind of knew women who, like, they were old maids together, but you didn't talk about it, to now where, you know, you're a woman, you can marry another woman, and be very open about it. So, like, Smith and Liza treat each other like a couple, like, with the honey and the darlings and the, like, I love you and the very the long holding each other and stuff like that. But they've both been married, and not necessarily because they wanted to be. Liza was out of options as a young high-class woman with odd taste and a too-bold personality. And Smith got sent to be married off to, dampen her tendencies.
Oh, so they knew she was a lesbian, or like, let's marry you to a man?
Essentially, so, okay. Yeah, this is not a big deal. I think it's fine if we know it now, but, the governor sent Smith off to get married.
Oh, so he knew he was with the wife.
Yeah, I did mention that they were rivals at one point.
Jesus.
Yeah, because Liza's not hiding that she loves Smith more than anybody else, truthfully.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she got married because she was basically ordered to. And, both don't mind their marriages as they gave them upward mobility. Because, Liza was set for life by marrying, a governor. And then Smith was able to quit being a servant for a period of time and then gave birth to the second love of her life, Moriam. So things were not all bad, but they couldn't actually be together the way that they longed to.
Again, I scoff a little bit.
That's fair.
I just, you put your kid through hell, because Moriam clearly remembers the loops if she's trying to save people from the loops. Mm-hmm. But the other maids don't.
Mm-hmm.
That is so fucking unkind to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because Moriam, for however fucking many loops she's been through, we don't know,
mm-hmm.
she is seeing her friends and then possibly her, maybe, hear me out. We don't know how long this is going on. Maybe she and Alice were dating at some point.
They were not.
Okay.
I will guarantee you they were not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, point is, she's seeing her friends for sure,
mm-hmm.
and then her potential romantic interest, or someone she did have a romance with the first lifetime with or something,
mm-hmm.
died over and over again. And she gets to remember that lovely amount of shit? You don't love someone if you put them through that. You just don't. Hey, daughter, I love you. Go watch this girl you like die again and again.
Yeah.
That's
sorry.
Fair. Totally fair. I have a hate boner against bad parenting.
Yeah. In this house, we have hate boners against bad parenting. Muscle arm shake about that one.
Yeah, I have great parents. I'm just going to put that out there now. I have great parents. Chuck has wonderful parents. We are two of the luckiest queer people in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Super fucking lucky. But because we're queer, we know tons of terrible queer parents.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks. It sucks. So when I see bad parents, I immediately hate them the most.
That's fair.
You can't redeem yourself, fucker. I don't care how tragically sad you are as a lesbian. Be a better parent. Alright, I'm done.
Yeah, we have this bittersweet reality for lesbians of history, which is juxtaposed against Cheryl and Moriam, who are not bound to the same restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
They're two young maids with their whole lives ahead of them. There's no jealous husband to get in the way of their relationship, and appearing single to society will actually allow them to be maids for as long as they desire. So how you're saying, what if they enjoy being maids?
Mm-hmm.
They don't recognize lesbians, so they can just be lesbians and still be maids together,
mm-hmm.
and it's not a thing. So they found their own way to move forward and maintain a relationship, facilitated and encouraged by their elders, Smith and Liza. So this is that, our lesbian elders paved the way so that we can be two female-appearing people and be married and hold hands and do all this other stuff, right? So that's one of the big takeaways from this, which drove me crazy because I just wanted to read lesbian horror and then I stepped away being like, oh my god, it's about my life.
God.
This story is also about the hell of loving someone to the point of ruining yourself. The reasons for all the murder in this comic are a weird mixture of understandable and horrific. It's all out of love, but at what fucking cost?
Yeah, oof, that term, understandable but horrific. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a feeling. I know that is a thing for books and comics and fucking real life.
Mm-hmm.
There are deaths of people people cheer for. I'm sure no one cried when Hitler died.
Yeah.
I mean, there probably were back in the day, but in modern era, no one gave a shit about that man.
A more contemporary example.
I wasn't gonna go there.
I am. More contemporary example. I'm not upset that a healthcare CEO died. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
And so it's understandable. It's also horrific that I feel like murder's okay in this situation, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
We're human beings. It's complicated. This story kind of nails that sort of complexity.
Yeah.
Because, like, Smith and the governor go too far, and they are hurt for it, but their love for Liza remains strong, eventually warping into something bordering on obsession. So even as they acknowledge the damage to their own souls, they do not stop.
Yeah. So what happened to Smith's husband?
He died.
Okay.
Regular death.
And she came back to work there?
Yeah, so that was the kindness that the governor had done for her, is her husband died and he allowed her to come back to work for him and Liza. Because she'd been working for Liza before, but he let her come back with a daughter. And you were not allowed to have children or have been married to be a maid. She should have not been able to be a maid ever again. She would have been barred from being a maid, the only thing she knew how to do. And her daughter shouldn't have been allowed to come with her. They didn't keep little kids unless they were servants. And so he paid her that kindness of, like, come back to where you're familiar, work here, keep your daughter here, and you can still see Liza, this person that you deeply admire, that I hate that you admire her, but you do. And then you can raise your daughter here and that sort of thing.
Honestly, it just sounds like if both the governor and Smith realized Liza had two hands, this would have, fixed a lot of things.
I cannot...
If y'all were just a throuple, maybe this would have gone over better.
I cannot emphasize enough that, like, the governor's sitting in the cup chair, okay? Like, I
Dude.
He's in the cuck chair, okay? Mm-hmm. There's never gonna be a throuple.
Yeah. I'm like, I get it. I get it, but like at the same time.
Trust me, I thought there was some sort of threesoming going on, that they were all, like, that they were a poly couple, and, like, Liza's the, like, part that they branch off of or whatever. No. The governor's just in the cuck chair, and has been the whole time.
And he's desperate to keep his wife.
Yeah. But so, as their love starts bordering on obsession, they acknowledge that it's fucking with them. They don't stop. Because loving her becomes more important than the actual woman lying there, dying. And it's fate that, luckily, Moriam manages to escape, though not fully unscathed.
Mm-hmm.
So things do eventually settle out, and Moriam's able to get out of this, but it's just like, for all of this trauma that's been dropped on everybody, it's not an easy thing to fully separate yourself from, even if you're out.
Do the other maids get out of this? Can't say.
You'll find out.
All right.
Don't be optimistic, though.
Oof.
This is also accidentally a comic where the guy ruins everything.
Mm-hmm.
Love is the main motivation for the most extreme actions in this comic, but it stands to reason that not every love is the same. Smith and Liza's love, that endured compromises and societal expectations, is honest and clear and patient. Moriam and Cheryl's is the same, with some added resilience and strength thrown in. Because as much as like, Moriam does a lot of heavy lifting in this comic as far as, like, her relationship and what Cheryl's dealing with and trying to help her, but Cheryl is no slouch either. Cheryl loves and loves hard. Like, she wants to do whatever she can. She really is dedicated to Moriam in her own way.
Mm-hmm.
These women would do anything for each other. They would give anything for each other. They exist solely for one another, quite literally at times. Governor Taylor just has low self-esteem. And he loves Liza because she accepted him. Which is not to say that it's unimportant to be accepted. Like, you should be accepted when,
That's rough.
But, like, that is his main thing. Like, he finally feels cared for, which is great. But he's most pleased that he didn't have to change himself to be loved. Which,
boy.
Yeah. Like, so, yes, you can't change someone by loving them a lot. Like, you should never go into a relationship thinking, I can fix him or I can fix her. That's not a thing. But loving someone often means wanting to change for the better for them.
So then you're not loved, homie. You're telling yourself Liza loves you, but she doesn't love you.
Mm-hmm. And
how did he trick himself with that?
He just took, like, oh, she wants to marry me. So that's love. And it's like, she appreciates you. I don't think she loves you that much, homie.
No, dude.
And homie just continues to coast, knowing someone doesn't hate him. He's pitiable at times, but really just seems like a dude that got let down when he wasn't automatically good at being a nobleman. Like, they called your wife a witch, and she just kept bawling. But you're over here like, well, my dad doesn't like me very much. And he thinks I'm kind of pathetic, which you are.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm not going to fix it. And his wife's just over here, like, doing that, like, Rihanna gif where she winks and, like, moves her hand through the screen or whatever. Like, she's just full on, like, so what if I'm a witch?
Uh-huh.
Try me, wink.
Hmm.
And he's, like, cracking under the pressure of, like, they don't think I'm that good of a dude. And it's like, well, I mean,
You don't seem like one.
step up, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So the ladies' love is about protecting the woman they care about, and he really just cares about himself in the end.
Uh-huh.
Which dovetails nicely into another big theme, which is sacrifice. All levels of sacrifice are present. Like physical, obviously, because murder and witchcraft and all that shit. But there's plenty of emotional and psychological sacrifice as well. And all of them blend together fairly often, too. So, like, we know Maid's dying, sacrifice. Yeah. But we also can kind of understand that Moriam is, like, sacrificing her freedom for Cheryl. Because she has a way to leave, but she's more concerned about making sure that, like, Cheryl is with her.
The attitude I want to give, though. Bonita didn't ask to be a sacrifice. Like, just the pettiness that wants to jump up out of me. Because it's sacrifice, but it's also like, goddamn, as is usual, it's a sacrifice and no one gets to choose to do it.
Yeah. And that's a good point about it, too, is like that when it comes down to it, people are getting sacrificed. Nobody asked to be in this situation. Even the perpetrators of this whole mess didn't really ask to be in this particular situation, but it's still their fault,
Yeah, just Gilf listened to Dumb Bitch Man and ruined her life, and this is why you shouldn't listen to men. Go Women's Month.
But sacrifice is legit everywhere, and it affects every character in some way. Because, I mean, even Bonita was willing to sacrifice some of her precious time home with her family to help Cheryl.
She was, and her reward was death.
I mean, Cheryl didn't know that was going to happen.
I'm still mad.
I understand.
I'll never not be mad about it.
But, yeah, that's fair. I feel like what she did is, like, not a huge deal, but time is precious, especially, like, as a maid, like, you only get so much time off. So, still, within the context, it's like, that's a sacrifice that she made. Mm-hmm. And it's huge that she was willing to do that.
What was the dumb bitch maid? The mean maid? Anais?
Alice?
Alice. For some reason my brain was like, Anais is her name? But yeah, Alice. Did she have any sacrifice?
Yes, derogatory.
What's like derogatory?
She's sacrificed somebody else. Not in a major way that, like, changes the arc of the story or the arc of the time loop, but she did do a bad at one point.
Yeah, because the sacrifice theme does work in really nice. Whether it's like they're willingly sacrificing or they're not willingly sacrificing, I just was like, "Oh, did Alice?" Because I couldn't recall.
It's the choice to sacrifice or not to sacrifice. It is also, creating an opportunity to sacrifice where that wasn't needed, kind of thing. But she does something that they kind of talk around at the very beginning. Yeah, they talk about something around in the very beginning. It's when the governor and Smith are talking around something that Alice did, and you get it from their angle at first, and then you get it from, like, Moriam's angle later, and it kind of helps to shore up and explain how complicated Moriam and Alice's relationship is, but Alice doesn't know why it's complicated, kind of thing. So that's another interesting point, is, like, how Moriam acts everybody is very interesting because of things that they've done that they don't remember.
Yeah.
But the governor, primarily, is just sacrificing other people. And that definitely plays into and highlights his selfishness. But he's also either knowingly or unknowingly sacrificing parts of his humanity. Every time he sacrifices someone, he loses a piece of himself with it. Which there's not really much to lose, so it is very bad, to say the least.
That's too bad it doesn't hurt when he sacrifices something.
I
wish he got a swift kick in the nuts every time he sacrificed something.
That's how I definitely feel. Like, you get the overarching, like, oh, well, the sacrifice is that he's losing his humanity, but I'm like...
What humanity?
He could lose more.
Like, I'm really, like, bitter about it, because all I can think about is, like, this motherfucker wasn't living like a person anyways.
Yeah.
He was weak-willed against his dad, and he didn't want to change who he was so that he could be loved. And I'm not saying like you need to change every little thing about you, but it sounded to me like he had bad habits, bad faults. Like if you're too weak to protect someone from getting bullied, why would they love you? Like, and I don't mean like you take the bullying for them, but I mean like if someone like calls your girlfriend or your boyfriend or lover, whoever, if someone calls your loved one a name, you should like say something or at least get them out of there. Yeah. And you indicated to me that he just kind of stood by and let that shit happen.
Yeah.
This man needed to change.
Yeah.
And he's too weak-willed to change. So like, fuck him.
Yeah.
Well, I hate him.
Well, I mean, the continued wearing down of his morals and psyche leads him to say some insane shit, like, things will be perfect if you just endure a little death.
Like, you know what pisses me off a little more?
Yeah.
Is it's almost sexy. Because, like, think about it. Endure your second death. Like, if they were talking about an orgasm, how hot would that sound?
Because orgasm in French, it directly translates to the little death. Yeah.
So just him saying, why don't you endure a little death? My brain is smut-coated, so it goes, ooh, and then I go, how dare you ruin this for me?
The point that he says this, I was very upset. Because it's such a sick fucking phrase, but it like, cut me to the core, and I was just like, what the fuck am I reading? I am so upset. Yeah. This hits me so weird. So unsettling.
Ugh, I hate him. I hate this man.
He just has morally bankrupt behavior. Totally. Also, as an aside, I posted that, like, it'll be perfect if you just endure a little death on Bluesky. Just, like, on my personal Bluesky, I posted that and was like, wow, it's a crazy thing to say to somebody in a bad situation. And I forgot
about the politics of the world.
Yes. And it was a really busy news day, and people were like, yeah, I wonder who said that. This is about XYZ. And I was like, oops. No. It's a girl love comic. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. I'm reading Girl Love, and they said some shit that sounds politically charged.
This is several years old. There's just, we're in a wild time.
God damn, aren't we all?
Mm-hmm. Not to say that all the things that are happening with the governor aren't happening to Smith, and not...
He's also called the governor.
Yeah.
He's got a politically charged title, even.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, my brain was just like, my brain made that connection, whatever.
There's nothing good about it. Not to say that the same stuff isn't happening to Smith, and not to justify her behavior, but she's much more aware of her sins. She understands the sacrifices she's making, because she's already used to making sacrifices. Like I said, like, woman, this time period, you've probably already made some. She understands the assignment. There are many big and small sacrifices you make when raising a child, and women sacrifice plenty to be alive during this time period, so when she has to make the penultimate sacrifice in the story, she's ready for it.
Question.
Yeah.
We know she got married off to someone. Did she like her partner?
Yeah.
Did we know?
Yeah, she liked her husband.
Okay. Because I was just like, that'd be another, like, spit in the face if she also didn't like him.
That was the kind of bomb on this, and they portray it to you in stages where, like, at first you're like, oh, well, she got married because she wanted to get married, and maybe this relationship thing that she has with Liza is just, like, a deep friendship, and then you realize, no, she's in love with Liza, and then you're like, oh, well, but she liked her husband at least, and then she actually does say, like, that she loved her husband, too. Not in the same way that she loved Liza, but it's like she loved her husband as, like, family, but, like, Liza is her, like, true romantic love.
No. But that is a nice bomb, because I was just like, I feel bad for Gilf. Like, she's done all these terrible things, but out of the two villains, she's sympathetic at least.
Yes, yeah.
And so it's just like, I feel bad for her. I was like, me hearing that at least her marriage with her husband wasn't awful makes me feel better. Because I feel bad for Eliza that she has to deal with the fucking governor. But, like, at least she, has Smith later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Moriam and Cheryl are essentially fighting to see who can sacrifice the most, the fastest, and spend a decent amount of time accidentally working against each other's goals. So you have Smith being like, I'm sacrificing, I know what I'm doing, I'm going to make a big sacrifice towards the end. And then Moriam and Cheryl are, like, playing sacrifice chicken. And it's partially because they keep coming at situations from completely opposite ends of the spectrum and they don't know that. Mm-hmm. And so they both end up like, well, I'm going to do this to sacrifice for you. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, well, yeah, but you're going to fuck up her plan if you do this. And they do that. They've done that apparently multiple times.
Because also Cheryl can't really contain her memories of these events, can she?
Yeah, exactly. So she's going in fresh every time loop.
And like, so when she starts being like, I got to get the fuck out of here, she's coming in late.
Exactly.
To the other ones, like, no, I've been here the whole time.
Right. And so it's kind of like, it would be funny if it wasn't so fucked up what they were going through. Yeah. That they're like, well, I gotta sacrifice harder to do this and blah, 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 whatever. But all of the women in the story are ready to make huge sacrifices and are fully aware of the depths of said actions.
These lesbians are playing gay chicken. Sorry, okay, I'm done now.
A very specific type of gay chicken. When I say they're ready to risk it all, they absolutely are. And even when the choices they make are less than ideal, I respect them. Because I do respect Smith's choices, in theory. I respect her initial choice of like, I'm going to try to do XYZ. It gets way out of hand and then I'm like, no girl, you gotta pull up. But at the beginning I was like, I do get it. I at least get where she's coming from and I was like, I respect that you're trying to do this. And like, when you'll read the comic, you'll know specifically what I'm talking about, like, that she really did have a solid plan, and then it got shit fucked. Mm-hmm. And you're like, maybe the plan wasn't ideal, but I respect and I get where you're coming from, and then it went bad. But this is a comic that shows how every little sacrifice, every tiny gesture, can cause ripple effects and really define a character. It's like a weird version of the orange peel theory, but you're asking your lover if they would stab someone. Babe, will you murder someone to keep me alive forever?
I hate the orange peel theory. I might have said this on this podcast before, but my brain is just like, I get it, but sometimes you don't want them to peel the orange. Sometimes you just want them to hand you the orange. And I would be mad if you handed me a peeled orange, because then I have to touch it while it's sticky. Like, it's just... I don't know. I don't know if it's the metaphor. I don't know if it's people who keep constantly misusing the metaphor online. But I just don't like the peeled orange metaphor.
Keelz straight up said, like, when I explained the orange peel theory to her, she straight up said, why the fuck would I do that to you? If I handed you a freshly peeled, sticky-ass orange, you would, like, scrunch up your face and look so offended. You'd be so upset with me in that moment. And she's absolutely right. Yes. Do not hand me a naked orange into my hand. I'm assuming they mean, like, peel the orange, put it in a bowl, but, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know about these people.
Like, I'm a simple being. My mind gets stuck in weird places sometimes. And, like, in theory, I get the idea of, like, you just want someone to do a small task for you. Mm-hmm. But sometimes when someone does a small task for you, it's so egregiously wrong that it just fucks up your day worse. And really what you just want is someone to communicate, hey, do you want me to peel your orange? And then I can say, no, stay the fuck away from my orange. That thing is a nightmare for me to eat. I don't want you to peel it. I'll figure it out. But you can hand it to me before it's peeled. Sometimes it's just communication.
This is accidentally making the metaphor better, is that you don't always need somebody to peel your orange. Sometimes you need them to just help you get the orange.
Yes.
You don't always need somebody to solve your problem. Sometimes you just need them to be there and listen and support you through the problem.
Yes, because, like, we have had to, this year, I think we figured out, like, hey, I just need you to hear me rant.
Yeah.
Like, do not give me a solution. I don't want a solution right now. I just need a bitch.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I need you to hear it.
Exactly.
But, God, I hate I don't like the peeled orange theory, because the amount of people we see then test the peeled orange theory on unexpected partners, and it's insane. Mm-hmm. Like, holy shit. Mm-hmm. No, man. No.
Yeah.
Dislike.
The comic itself is beautiful and dizzying. The artist really mastered drawing like the big skirts billowing in the wind, but everything feels caught up in the wind. Like, the whirlwind of tragedy that surrounds all the characters is just kind of moving them along visually and physically. The forest as a motif is used anytime the girls are in peril or lost in confusion, which, yeah, the woods are fucked up. Like, I'm afraid of the woods. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't go there. But they use it anytime that they're, like, concerned about something or having, like, trauma. It's like, it's in their dreams. It's in their mindscapes when like when they're having thoughts about whatever. I really loved how they would construct non-organic backgrounds to mimic the depths of the forest at times. So there are times when you are in the house, but the way that she layers the background of the house kind of mimics like the layering that you would see from trees in the forest. And there's a lot of emphasis on repetition as well. You see the same images over and over again from different angles and sometimes with more clarity to the point where you as the reader can kind of see what's coming, but you're not 100% for sure. Which, like, yeah, the repetition is also a motif, and it's important to how the story unfolds, obviously, with the time loop thing. But it's really beautifully well done, well thought out, and expressive. And I do just think that this comic is a real treat for the eyes and the brain. Every little detail is important to unraveling the mystery of just what the fuck is going on. You'll be equally bewildered and captivated and begging for these girls to hold each other. I will say, like, the girls do hold each other. The only thing I have about this is that might be all you get is of them holding each other. The lesbianism is strong, but not in a way we're gonna see a lot of action.
I was gonna ask. I'm like, do we even get a lesbian kiss in this?
No, nobody kisses.
Ugh.
No straight people kiss. No gay people kiss. Nobody kisses. It's just like, I'm tenderly holding you. I'm hugging you tight. I'm gazing deep into your eyes. I'm brushing hair away from your face. And I'm like, just touch lips. Let's do it.
Well, I'm glad there's at least some, like, here's some lesbian actions, Like,
It's very intense feelings. You can feel what's coming off the comic.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, my modern 2025 self wants them to smooch.
At least one kiss, yeah.
Just one, yeah.
Yeah, and, like, it feels so busy. I was wondering, like, how there would even be a kiss. I honestly was like, maybe we're just going to get a kiss from old lady flashback with her mistress,
Mm-hmm. This is a sort of comic that is so much more than the sum of its parts. On the surface, you've got maids, murder, and lesbianism. Excellent ingredients for a good story. But it's so much more than that. It's about acknowledging and facilitating change for the future. It's about the shackles of society and the ones that we've placed on ourselves. And it's about love enduring across time and the thin line between love, obsession, and hate. So if you want high drama, mystery, and you like it when lesbians are desperately but chastely in love, Maid in Heaven is for you. It can be found on Pocket Comics, and it contains murder, death, blood, violence, witchcraft, the occult, manipulation, human sacrifice, societal misogyny, tragedy, corpses, generational trauma, and the lesbians don't kiss.
That
I'm
should be
so
a warning.
sorry.
Holy shit.
Like, I have to warn you, they don't kiss.
I'm sitting here a little salty that you go through all this and you don't get a girl-on-girl kiss.
Yeah, they don't kiss, but they do get together, and they do have blessings from their employer to do so. So there is acknowledgement of their lesbianism, and their employer at the end does them a solid, and it's like, hell yeah, dude, go for it.
The governess?
Someone at the end is like, hey, go be lesbians, it's fine. Well, and also, like,
Which employer?
You'll find it. Liza also is totally fine with it, obviously, because her own gay ass self is like, you're like me and your mom.
All right. Mm-hmm.
If you'd like to see more from Sion, you can find her on Twitter at flowerbud92. That's FLOWERBUD, the number 9 and then 2. Or you can visit her on her blog, which I will link in the description because you don't need to hear that. It's a long URL. I'll link it. If you want more horror and romance, I'll bet the straight kind this time, you can check out Killing Honey, also on Pocket Comics, because for some reason this author just loves to fuck with you. Her other comic is also horror and romance, and then she has another comic that has not been translated to English, and it's also like, what if there's ghosts and it sucks? And I'm like, what is your deal, girl?
Some people like that.
Yeah. So with all this, what is your whole rating, my dear?
This is complicated.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really taking a whole away because I don't like how the main character looks. Like, that's just petty and silly. I'm not going to do that. Someone's going to like her character design. Just me, who looks at a lot of lesbian queer media, I feel like this is such a boring, typical design. I could just throw up. But I'm not going to take a whole away from that. However, I have a weird argument. Does this even get a whole rating? I feel like as a story, 8 out of 10. I'm very captivated. I'm curious enough about it. It's probably it's like 7 or 8 out of 10 because like I'm curious, I'm intrigued. I definitely got questions and I want to know more about it. But I don't know where I feel about it. It's not bad, but I'm not like throwing open the door and being like I must read this. And then the whole rating, jokingly, I always think of the whole rating as like, is the romance good? And I don't know. I'm deeply unsatisfied that there's not even a kiss. Like, or even the insinuation of a kiss. It, like, hand-holding, chase love is also really important. But as, like, a person who is a part of a community who is often forced to be in a closet or talked about and hidden, I don't want a story necessarily that's hiding all the good stuff, that's hiding all the good romance. I want at least one kiss, so I'm not going to give it a whole rating. As a story, it gets a 7 or 8 out of 10. Good read. But I can't give it a whole rating because I'm like, y'all don't even kiss. It's barely a lesbian story.
Totally fair, and I do feel like this is a good enough story where I think people should read it. Like, if you're okay with, like, horror elements and murder, I do think you should read it. It has changed my brain chemistry. However, since there isn't a lot of smanging going on, not a lot of kissing, as a caveat to this, next week's episode, I'm going to be doing one set in a similar time period, but they do smang, and they smang often.
Hell yeah.
So these are kind of be, I think, sister episodes. So if you want to learn about Edwardian Victorian maids in one setting, we're going to do, like, you know, the horror elements and get into chase love. We're going to do another one where they are absolutely dicking down because that's what they're into. So
nice.
Similar themes kind of going on around the lesbianism, but one's pushing it one way and this one's pushing it this way. So that will be my salve for, like, please read this, but I know that they don't kiss.
Because I will say, what's really nice and important about this story is I feel like it's just a good story that happens to have queer characters. That is very good to have. Because, like, there's tons of stories in TV format, in movie format, where it's like, you could have put a lesbian in here.
Yeah.
Why not? You could have put a gay man in here. You could have put a trans person in here. You could have put an asexual person in here. There's tons of shows like that where it's like, you could have just done that. It wouldn't have made your story weaker. It wouldn't have done this. It wouldn't have done that. Whatever. You could have just done it. And, like, fuck all with it. Like, I'm going to name a couple, I'm going to say 2 shows that I feel like kind of said, yeah, we're just going to do what the fuck ever we want. And, like, they did it in different ways. Like, Bridgerton, for instance, the series, they have black people and people of color and ethnicities and religion just flown in there. They're just like, fuck real history. We're going to say that the king decided black people rocked and changed history. No one bats an eye. It's a beautiful show. It's amazing. And then you have shows like Game of Thrones that just acknowledges the fact that some people were gay and fucking men. Some people were, like, having orgies. Some people are gross. Some people are fucking their own siblings. It is a
lot of that.
That was a gritty, wild-ass show. And, like, well, yes, it didn't have a lot of, like, queer people out there. It also wasn't like, oh, they don't exist.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, just to put it out there, like, you can just throw people of different, all walks of life in, and it's very good. So I think this story is very important for the fact that it's just like, here's this cool-ass mystery horror story, and it's not about the romance, but hey, there's lesbians.
Well, and that's the thing is, it is about the romance, because that is the catalyst. And that's
what makes it complicated.
Yes, because it's very much, the catalyst for everything that happens is lesbian romance, and then the salve at the end is also lesbian romance. So you can't, it is very much a story that you feel like you could have put any sort of sexual orientation into, but the fact that the author made the specific choice for it to be lesbians from beginning to end, I think is why I felt like I had to talk about this.
Yeah, no, this falls into a very different category. So I'm not saying, like, it not getting a whole rating shuns it. I'm saying this kind of gets its own special little shelf. Like, there's another book that if we talked about where it's an author who she does an autobiography about her being a lesbian and like buying a prostitute for herself.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember what it's called.
That would be the same sort of situation.
Like, that would get its own shelf too, because I'm not going to give that a whole rating because I think it's astounding. She's being very brave. She's being very open.
Yes.
And like, yes, there's sex in it. There's like romantic feelings in it, but this is a story that goes beyond that. And this story is doing the same. So it's not bad because I'm not giving it a whole rating. It just gets its own shelf.
We give it the golden hole.
The golden hole?
It is for stories that ascend whole rating.
No, we give it panties. There's no...
give it the golden panties?
The golden panties. The hole is covered up.
All right, we're giving this one the golden panties.
The golden panties. The hole can't be seen.
It ascends whole in a way that others have not. I still encourage y'all to read it. So, is what it is. You, of course, can find our dumb gay asses on Bluesky and Tumblr at whole-chat. Or you can email us if you're feeling frisky at whole.chat.69@gmail.com. And if you are enjoying Whole Chat, please give us likes and follows wherever you're listening. Throw us a subscribe on YouTube or whatever. We really appreciate any support that you can give us as we continue to, talk about gay shit. But thank you guys for listening and tighten up.
Yeah, tighten up. For real this time.